Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for remaining with us, and welcome back from that quick short break there. So we are still going on with the current stock market performances. We have already monitored the performance of top gainer, that was Jubilee Holdings Limited, and he was followed by Uganda Clays, and we have also seen that Uganda Clays was one of the companies that were able to perform quite well on the market yesterday, on Friday, by the close of the markets, because he gained by 2.94% at 0.5 Ugandan shillings. Now, let's look at Uganda Clays Limited a little bit more, and definitely we'll move to the board and monitor the performance as per their pricings over the last 10 months as well. Now, looking at these past 10 months, Uganda Clays Limited, on the we see that in September last year, when you look at the performance of this particular stock in September last year, we see that the prices were quite low, even lower than 10 Ugandan shillings, if you look at that performance as per last year. And Uganda Clays, based on the year-to-date performance, is one of the top performers, because as you can see on the graph, the prices were quite low and very stable. You can even see almost a straight line from September to November with no slight change. Okay, maybe slight changes before September and a slight change after September, but you see there is nothing like a very big change. And we see that the changes were started to be witnessed in the month of November at the end, with a slight increase, and then another leveling off in the month of December. And then in January 2022, we see the price at 10 shillings, just above 10 shillings at the beginning of the year 2022. And then we see that the price was stable at that point, but then moved up again in a very short period of time between the month of January and the month of March, to a price of over 24 shillings. 21 shillings for that matter in the month of May. So you can imagine gaining value from over 7, 8, 9 shillings to a value of 24 or 25 or even 21. That is quite significant when it comes to how the stock market really works. And you see that they have an improved average year-to-date performance compared to other companies. When we talk about year-to-date, we are talking about the performance since the year began to where we are right now. And then we also have what we call a one-year performance. We look at exactly 1 year ago, compare it to right now. We see how much have you gained, how much have you lost in average. And we say that tells you a lot about the performance of a particular stock. We see, okay, we have seen also a slight decrease in the value from around 20, because 20 was the average for the beginning months, between March and May and April and June. But we see a slight decline to about 17 here, where you see the straight line. The prices have been stagnant at 17 Ugandan shillings. And then we see now a slight, actually this was not 17, this was around 18. And then we see a decline to around 16, 17 there during this month. But just yesterday we see that the prices went up to 17.5, but by a 0.5 shillings rise in price. Now, let's look at further the other statistics that tell us the performance of a company. First of all, Uganda Clays Limited is a company that manufactures several clay products, including tiles, including max pans, including several other clay kind of stuff, with a reputation for being producers of high quality products using a very dedicated and stable labor force. Uganda Clays Limited boasts of its better raw materials than many of its competitors, and consequently prices its products competitively on the market. Of course, trading here in Uganda, but also across other countries like South Sudan, like Kenya, Tanzania, and DR Congo, where they export some of their products. On the Uganda Securities Exchange, the company got listed on the 18th of January 2000. So it's one of the oldest stocks on the Uganda Securities Exchange. You can imagine since the year 2000, that's over 22 years worth of experience. Uganda Clay Limited is trading on the Uganda Securities Exchange under the ticker symbol UCL. UCL is Uganda Clays Limited. The international securities identification number for the company is UG, a couple of zeros, and it ends with 14. Uganda Clays on the market is currently the 15th most valuable stock on the Uganda Security Exchange with a market capitalization of 15.8 billion. Now, when you talk about the most valuable, we are looking at ranking the stocks given by their market capitalization. And like I said, market capitalization is just the total value of shares in terms of money on the on the Uganda Security Exchange. So out of the 18 stocks listed, the Uganda Clays company comes in number 15. The position is 15th. And we see that that is a 15.8 billion market capitalization, representing a 0.073% of the total Uganda Securities Exchange market capitalization, which rounds to over 21 trillion Ugandan shillings. Now, when we look at the trading statistics here, we see that yesterday there was a volume of 700 shares that was traded. And out of these 700 shares, the total value of the money that was, of course, came out of these was 12,250 Ugandan shillings. That's the gross turnover. The shares outstanding currently are 900 million shares. These shares are broken down into units, and the units cost at a share price, which is, of course, right now 17.5. And when you multiply 17.5 times the 900 million shares outstanding, you see a price of 15.8 billion. That is the total capitalization, market capitalization of the Uganda Clays company. Now, based on the performance here, just on Friday, we see a 1 week gain of 0.75%. Remember, whenever you're monitoring the stock market, you don't just monitor a daily performance. You will be disappointed. Uganda Clays could end today with bottom losers. Yeah. So, but you look a week back. You look a week back. You look a month back. You look 3 months back. You look 6 months. You look a year back. You look from year to date. You know, you look at the beginning of the year to where they come, and that's exactly how the stocks are monitored. Not just as per the daily performance. You could have, I've been lucky on that day and you shoot, and you aim for the stars and you actually shoot. But hey, no, it doesn't happen always. So let's see, looking at the performance maybe 4 weeks back. Now, in a 1 week, we see gaining by 0.75%. But when we look at the 4 week run, we are seeing a 7.89% decline in performance. And then when we look at 3 months back, we see a 16.7% decline as well. While when we look at 6 months ago, like we see on this graph here, when we look at a span of 6 months ago, we see a 34.6% increase in value. And then when you look at a 1 year, so if you look at 15th of July 2021 compared to 15th of July 2022, we see 106% growth in prices. Meaning, if a company, when we say at 100%, if a company was trading today at 10 shillings, and in the next year, exactly 1 year from now, we see the company trading at 20, that's 100% gain. Now, in terms of 1 year ago, Uganda has gained value of 106%. So probably when you divide 17 maybe by 2, you get maybe something like 8.5. So probably last year around this time, Uganda Clays was trading less than 8.5 Uganda shillings. People who bought stock last year on this very day on Uganda Clays Limited and are selling right now, today, if they are selling today, they are selling at 8 shillings gain in price. So imagine you had 1 million shares. You know, 1 million is what I really want to use sometimes. It means you would make 8 million out of all your stock if you're able to sell them anyway. If you're able to sell all the million stock and the million shares. So that's how it works. But the problem is the market, the market is not that active, you will not always find someone who will buy 1 million shares. You will not always find someone willing to buy all those shares at the same time at that particular price. So that's the challenge. But sometimes it happens. If you buy a stock and it's very active, you will find people that are willing to buy that stock at that particular price. And you walk away with your money in just 1 year. You've made 8 million. Which business does that? Yeah. So it is something just for you to think about. Then when you look at the year-to-date performance, year-to-date we are referring to the performance from the 1st of January to this particular, the 15th of July, Friday. And in terms of year-to-date, we are seeing a 34.6% rise in prices. Now, the Uganda Clays Limited company closed last Friday, the trading day, with the price of 17.5 per share, recording a 2.9% gain over its previous day of 17 Ugandan shillings. And Uganda Clays began the year with the price of 13 Ugandan shillings and has since gained 34.6% price valuation, ranking it first on the Uganda Security Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. So this is exactly, that's why I'm pausing for you to take it in, because you may not understand how really the stock market works until you watch this show every day and you get used to all these terms. When we talk about the year-to-date performance, we are talking about when January 1st to where it is right now. When you look at that performance, Uganda Clays Limited is coming in position number 1. However, you must take caution. Much as that sounds very exciting, number 1 trading company in terms of year-to-date performance, Uganda Clays Limited's recent bad performance has seen it lose 8% of its value in the past 4 weeks. Like I said, in terms of monthly performance, Uganda Clays has declined. But year to date, we are seeing an improvement. Now, Uganda Clays is the 3rd most traded stock. Remember, the 15th most valuable, meaning in terms of market capitalization, it comes in position number 15. It is the 1st in terms of year-to-date performance, the best performing in terms of year-to-date performance. And then we are seeing that it is the 3rd in terms of the most traded. Most traded means the stocks that have had the biggest volumes of trade. And that is over the last 3 months. That is from April the 5th to the 15th of July 2022. Uganda Clays Limited has traded a volume of 14.1 million over those last 3 months from April 5th to July 15th. And of course, it has valued these shares, these 14.1 millions at 279 million over the period, with an average of over 223,186 shares traded per session. So every session we are seeing an average of over 200,000 shares. A volume high of 3.45 million shares was achieved on April the 26th. What does this indicate? Remember the million I talked about? If you wanted to sell 1 million this year and you bought 1 million last year, it's possible because on the 26th of April, someone or people, a couple of people, were able to trade over 3.45 million shares, meaning 1 million is possible. So you can buy this stock right now. You can buy it and wait and wait and wait and wait until you see value. Now, the table, of course, now below, of course, the table shows the performance, which we shall see on the screen, but literally, we are looking at a stock that is very, very promising when we look at Uganda Clays. And definitely looking at a couple of months back, you see volumes of 1 million traded, for example, on the 7th of July, 1.1 million shares were traded. On the 11th of July, we see 50,000 shares were traded. On the 5th of July, we see 25,000 shares were traded. We see a couple of activities that take place in this market. Though, of course, in terms of the 4-week performance, the 1-month performance, it's not doing very well. But year to date, it's number 1 in terms of gaining on the year to date performance. The Uganda Clays Limited are issuers of stock on the Uganda Clays and only have one market competitor, according to Uganda Securities Exchange, who is also engaged in the industrial sector, and that is Kenya Airways. And Kenya Airways has a market capitalization of 693 billion Ugandan shillings. But Uganda Clays, of course, 15.8 billion. So they're quite different. But that's it. That's for Uganda Clays Limited. If you want to trade on this counter, be ready to part with at least 17.5 million, 17.5 Ugandan shillings. And definitely we'll see how that goes for Uganda Clays. We're going to take another short break. And when we return, we look at also the losers. The losers are important because, like Warren Buffett said, of course, one of the biggest investors in the world, especially in the financial markets, always buy when they're going down. Buy. So you want to know who is losing on the market because he's creating opportunity, unseen opportunity for investors. We'll be right back. Stay with us.